Hello and welcome! Let's be honest for a second. Our lives are incredibly busy. Between work, family, and the never-ending to-do lists, most of us feel like we don't have enough time to breathe, let alone sit down and read a 200-page book on personal growth. You might be staring at your to-read pile right now, feeling guilty that you haven't started. But your creative soul shouldn't have to wait for a vacation to be fed. That is exactly why I've created this podcast series. Think of this as your creative sanctuary, a place where you can listen to these summaries during your lunch break, on your commute, or while you're doing the dishes. You are going to learn exactly what you need to recover your spark, 1 week at a time, without having to find hours to read through chapters. We're doing the heavy lifting so you can focus on the transformation. Episode 0, the introduction, your creative reset. What is the artist's way? This journey is centered around a book that has quite literally changed millions of lives. The book is titled The Artist's Way, a course in discovering and recovering your creative self, written by the legendary Julia Cameron. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about that title. When many people hear the word artist, they immediately think, "That's not me. I don't paint, I don't sing professionally, and I don't have a gallery show." But Julia Cameron argues something much more profound. She believes that creativity is not a job title, but our true nature. Whether you are a lawyer, a stay-at-home parent, a student, or a retiree, you have a creative spark that has likely been buried under years of sensible living, fear, and social pressure. The subtitle is just as important: a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. This tells us two things. First, this is a course. It is a 12-week program of action, not just a book you read once and put on a shelf. Second, it's about recovery. Julia views creativity like an addiction recovery program, except we are recovering from the addiction of being normal or blocked. We are reclaiming a part of ourselves that we lost somewhere along the way. The concept of spiritual electricity. One of the most powerful ideas Julia introduces right at the start is the concept of spiritual electricity. She explains that we don't need to invent creativity, we just need to tap into it. Think of yourself as a house. The house is already wired for power, but if the circuit breaker is off, the lights won't shine. Creativity is that spiritual electricity. It is a fundamental energy of the universe that is always available to us. When we feel blocked, it's simply because we've disconnected from the power source. This 12-week journey is about learning how to plug yourself back in. When you do, you'll notice that things start to happen effortlessly. This electricity shows up as synchronicities, sudden ideas, and a renewed sense of vitality. We aren't making the energy, we are just becoming a clear channel for it. The heartbeat, the two basic tools. To get that electricity flowing again, you must commit to the two basic tools that are the heartbeat of this book. The first tool is the morning pages. Every single morning, the very moment you wake up, you are going to write 3 pages of longhand, stream of consciousness thoughts. This is not art. It is a brain dump. You can complain about the weather, your laundry, or how much you hate this exercise. There is no wrong way to do morning pages. The goal is to move the censor, that nagging internal critic in your head, out of the way. By putting your anxieties and mental noise on paper first thing in the morning, you clear the pipes so the spiritual electricity can flow. The second tool is the artist's date. Once a week, you must take yourself on a solo expedition. This is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours, set aside specifically to nurture your creative consciousness. You might go to a junk shop, a museum, or a beautiful park. The rule is, you must go alone. No partners, no kids, no friends. You are filling the well, giving your brain new images and sensations to draw from later. The creative contract. Before we begin week 1, there is one final essential step, the creative contract. This is your formal promise to yourself. I want you to find a piece of paper or open your journal, and I want you to write this down. I, state your name, Understand that I am embarking on a 12-week journey to discover and recover my creative self. I commit myself to the 3 pages of daily morning pages. I commit myself to 1 weekly artist date for the duration of this course. I further understand that this journey may bring up resistance and fear, and I commit to being gentle with myself through the process. Sign it. Date it. This is your covenant with your inner artist. The commitment. If you are ready to stop being a shadow artist and start living your truth, you now have your tools, you have your contract, and you have your mission. Stay tuned, because in our next episode, we dive into the very first step of this recovery: safety. I'm so glad you're here. Let's start the work.